This is the voice of freedom. We are not one voice. We are many. We are your voice. But we can only be effective if you use your voice. Your voice. This is the voice of freedom. We will not hide from the truth. We will ask the hard questions until we are sure we have the truth. Welcome to the voice of freedom, where your voice will never be silenced.
Well, good evening, folks, and happy to have you along. There might be a few of you who are watching on my Facebook page tonight. We'll see whether or not I can get my first Facebook ban for this year. Otherwise, we'll welcome along to Project Matilda viewers, and for those folks watching on the Rumble channel, great to have you on too. Let me just check and make sure that all that is working as it apparently should be over there. I'll hit that button and we'll see what happens. Haven't had any warnings come up saying it's not working, so fingers crossed it all seems to be doing that. I'm just trying to arrange questions. Yeah, it looks like I'm seeing a few people pop up in the live chat now. G'day, Tim, Duncan, Kate, and crew. Goals is in there too. So, yeah, it does. Goals is looking forward to a great chat, and so am I, I've got to tell you. This is an area I know absolutely nothing about, if I'm honest. Well, a 15th of what is required knowledge. Why is it required knowledge? I guess that's the question. We've all heard of the quantum financial system. We're all waiting for the great quantum reset, if you like, and of course promises of things like Nasara Jasara, which is something that we're, hopeful is going to happen. But how do we know it is? How do we know it's not? What is a quantum financial system? What are bitcoins? What are stable coins? What is Stellar? What is Ripple? What is XRP, ALP, ABN, XLP? There are a lot of questions, and there are a lot of questions from people who may be of a certain age, and my mum would be amongst them, who might be looking at this and saying, listen, all I want to do is sell a teapot to the next door neighbour, or go and, sell my goods at the local church auction on the weekend. How's this all going to affect me? Am I going to have to learn some new financial system? God didn't put me here for this long so he could do this kind of financial torture to me, did he? Well, we're going to find out whether or not we can answer a few of those questions tonight. And I figured we better go with the people who know what they're talking about. Now, if you haven't heard of the Quantum Steller Initiative, then I will show you right now. You can go to their Telegram page and check this out. The Quantum Steller Initiative is designed as an educational resource, and it will help you understand what quantum financial systems are all about. Now, you can go there, you can join this Telegram group, and you'll be able to get involved with chats with people there who'll be able to help you out. But better than getting involved with them right away, I thought it better we get, some help from the people who are in the background of all this, better than trying to make sense of it. They're making it all work. So I'd like to introduce you to a couple of folks who I've found through QSI, who've come to me very, very highly recommended. I think I said in the last week or so, I was trying to get a hold of Emily, who is what can we say, a quantum financial system guru, for the want of a better term. And you might, if you're a Charlie Ward watcher, you will have seen her come on. Well, these two folks work with Emily very closely, and Emily is only one person in a huge global movement working on this entire system. So you can trust what is coming from these people as truth towards what's coming in our future. At least that is my belief at this point in time. Before I make a complete dick out of myself, let me introduce these wonderful folks. So we have an Aussie on the team. Lovely to have you on board, Jane. Thank you for taking your time out on a Saturday night to join us. I can't appreciate it enough from you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us to come and join you and have us to help answer some questions, allay some fears.
Well, yeah, that's what it is, really. And I've got to say, we need a round of applause for Jim. Jim, thank you for joining us. It's 2:25 to 3 in the morning where you are?
Yeah, it's 2:35 in the morning where I'm at. So I'm used to this. I've been on a number of calls around the world, so it's kind of like you do what you got to do. But thank you for having us on your platform. Really appreciate it.
I'm very excited to have you on the platform. I think, certainly from my own perspective, I have minimal knowledge of the entire system and how it's going to work in the future. Now, thankfully for me, I have minimal money to be worried about. So if I lose it all, it's no great issue. But there are those people who've got some significant concerns, and some of those people have decided to invest in some of the coins, some of the digital coinage that we'll speak about tonight, and some of them have invested in other forms. And we were talking to a guy who's very close to our hearts here from South Australia, Vince, who's our web designer, who's been involved in crypto for a little while. So he asked if he could pop in on the chat too. So I'll bring him in too. Good evening, Vince. How are you, mate? Well, I don't know if you're talking or not, but if you are, we're not hearing you. But I know you're
IT. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah. There you go. Yeah. Very good. Very good. All right. Let's get into this. I've had a lot of people contact me in the last 24 hours when we've really lined this up, Jane. First of all, I think before we start answering any questions that have been fired in by those folks, can I ask you to explain the background of QSI a little bit for us?
Yeah, I will. And I'm just going to try and share these slides that I put together earlier. Hopefully this is going to work.
Sure.
No, it's not. It's all right. I'll look at them and I'll send them through to you later. So who or what is QSI is a question that I know a lot of people ask. QSI equals Quantum Steller Initiative. QSI is a group of like-minded Q patriots and humanitarians providing educational materials on the quantum financial system, so QFS, ISO 20022, the executive orders 13818, 13848, 13959, USMCA section 27.5, Basel 3 and 4, Bretton Woods 3, the Stellar blockchain, Nasara Jasara. Emily Tang at Patriot Cakes on Telegram is the CEO, owner and founder of QSI. QSI is run entirely by volunteers, everyday folks like you and me. Now, Jim, did you have anything to add?
You know, everything that Jane says, it's kind of the foundation. I've got involved with QSI a while back. A dear friend of mine, I call him my brother, Andy Kidrowski, and we've been following Whiplash 347 on Telegram. I think it's important your viewers understand that link because it's a very important part of QSI. That's Whiplash 347 on the Telegram social media. Whiplash has been putting all kinds of decodes out and for the new assets for the QFS along with military intel for over 2 years now on Telegram. And then Emily came along and she founded QSI, and it's just been a journey since then. And now it's starting to mature. We're starting to see some of the fields that we've been putting seeds in starting to grow. Emily's formed some really good people, Jane being one of them. Jane and I and Andy have developed a real good relationship with Jane here. Probably Jane, over the last 6-7 months.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So we've all been working really close, working very hard, very diligently, and we'll get into the quantum financial system, but I just cannot push enough Whiplash 347. And then the QSI Telegram channel, where all the education, Emily and Colleen and Ray and the whole team of QSI, Jane, along with that, they've worked really hard. and they put together one hell of a educational system that people can go and learn more about the new QFS and the digital assets. So that's what I want to do, lay down for a base for the show here.
Beautiful. No worries, Jim. I appreciate it. And I'm sure people would like to know, like I do, because I really don't understand, I guess, clearly how this is all going to work. You're going to use some terminology tonight, I guess. If I don't clearly know what the word means, I'm going to stop you and ask you to tell us to define that word in some way, if that's possible. Same for you, Jane. And I guess, well, let's kick it off. If the QFS, and we're all hoping for the QFS to come, you guys are working on the fact that it's not a hope, it's a reality. Why are people who are invested in the banks at the moment and got their super tucked away in big super, why should they be listening to us here on this tonight?
Jane, you want to go, or you want to go first, and I'll follow up, or do you want me to go first?
You can go first.
All right. So, first of all, I want to just say, Jane and I come to you with, a wealth of knowledge. Emily is fantastic. We've got a really good team. But the bottom line is this: we're providing the information. It's up to you as an individual to take what we have to offer you and do your own research. All the information's out there. Okay. If you go look into quantum.gov will show you that the new quantum system was brought in 2017, 2018 by our executive chief here over in the States, Donald J. Trump, who I believe is the king of the world, but that's my opinion. I think he's put this whole thing together with all the white hats around the world and in the universe. And we can get deep on this, but this quantum system is, you cannot cheat the system. It's totally transparent. Yeah. So even our voting is going to go through this quantum system. Now, with that being said, the information that Jane and I are bringing to you is way ahead. We're way ahead of what the rest of the world knows. I mean, Emily and I and Andy had a conversation and last Saturday morning, and then we talked about it on Thursday night over on Captain Kyle's channel. Captain Kyle and Ty and Kelly have brought a lot of light to the quantum system too, is that we're 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the entire world that really know what's going on. And that sounds arrogant, but it's not. It's the truth. So what we're bringing to you here on your channel, what Jane and I are bringing to you, it's brand new for your audience. So don't be fearful of it, because it's coming. Nothing's going to stop what's coming. But this is going to be part of our new quantum financial system, is going to be the digital coins. And then I'll let Jane kind of go into, kind of piggyback off of me on this while I take a drink of water. But she can bring in to you with the digital assets. Yeah. So go ahead, Jane, take it away.
Yeah. And this also, Jim said, you can't be fearful of this. You need to come at it without fear. So we need to be very connected to source or God, whatever comes for you. And we need to learn how to be fearless. We can't be fearful. We need to be fearless. Now, the quantum financial system is a new global system for all. The QFS brings financial reform with new regulations, ISO 20022, to replace SWIFT, Basel III and Basel IV, international regulatory framework for banks. So compliance for all financial institutions, banks. So, and Bretton Woods III, the Bretton Woods system of monetary management established the rules for commercial and financial relations among the United States, Canada, Western European countries, Australia, and Japan after the 1944 Bretton Woods Agreement. Now, I mentioned there ISO 20022 stablecoins. There are 5 main ones at the moment, and unfortunately you can't see my slides. Probably should have emailed them through to you, Carl. But So we've got XRP on the Ripple network. It's an institutional coin backed by gold. XLM is on the Stellar network. It's the people's coin and backed by silver. We've got XDC on XinFin network, which is a hybrid coin backed by copper, which means it will help create bridges and talk to the other stable coins in between blockchains. We've got Algo.
So bridges,
Algorand.
Can I just stop you there, Jane? Bridges, when you're saying the copper-backed coin XDC is going to create bridges. What does bridges mean?
It means that you'll be able to talk from one blockchain to another because each blockchain operates on its own network. This XDC coin is a hybrid coin that allows the interaction between the different blockchains.
Okay, so if I'm leaping ahead here, just say we'll get to that. But where does Bitcoin sit with what we've got to so far? Is it something that XDC or XLM or XRP?
No, none.
Right.
Bitcoin is not ISO 20022.
Bitcoin's going to go away.
So
okay.
I was going to say that would mean if it all changes over, that'll go.
Yep.
Yeah. So Bitcoin. Say that again, or Jane. I missed what you said. Say that again.
Bitcoin and Ethereum are on their way out.
Yeah, it's important that everyone heard what she said. So those two coins, there's different theories. There's theories out there that they're dirty. They were set up by the CIA. If you go back to the housing market crash, which was happening, and I don't know if it happened in Australia, but it happened here in the United States in 2008, all the way through 2013. It was all designed by the black hats. So during that time, they came up with Bitcoin. Magically, it just appeared out of the thin air. Well, where were they funneling all the money? That's, Bitcoin, Ethereum, FTX, so forth and so on. So there was nothing backing those coins. Now, over 2 years ago, Whiplash 347 asked, does anyone know what Bitcoin stands for? And the acronym's BTC. Okay. And I answered baby trafficking coin. And he says, you are correct. So with all the nefarious things, if you've done your work and you've done your research, you'll understand that just about every agency around the world and every government around the world, we could go down a deep rabbit hole. Just know that if you don't know about the children, we'll leave that alone right now, but that's something that everyone should go and look into. So Bitcoin was used in a lot of the trafficking, human trafficking. And we could come back and talk more about the trafficking, because every one of us on this channel has been trafficked. And we'll go down into that rabbit hole, another call regarding your birth certificate and other things that have gone on. Yeah. So Bitcoin, I believe,
love to do that.
Bitcoin, I believe, and Emily and Nick Ragone touched on it with Mel Carmine on another podcast, and I believe the same thing. And Andy has been telling me this too. We believe the White Hats took over Bitcoin and Ethereum, and they've been doing behind the scenes and arresting all these people. They were tracking where all these Bitcoins and Ethereum, where the money was going for those that are doing illegal activities. So I believe that when Three Gorge Dam, when the big event happens, that those coins that James speaking of, those coins are going to go away, and they're going to transfer. The funds are going to transfer over into the Stellar network. So I just wanted to say that about Bitcoin and Ethereum. So, and Whiplash has been posting that there's an event coming up, and that they've been warned. People have been warned for over 2 years that it's going to go away. So if they don't dump it, they're going to be lost. So, Jane, you want to add to that?
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Emily's been saying to us as well for a long time that, and she's been showing the evidence as to how they're going to flow Bitcoin and Ethereum into Stellar. And there's been lots of testing going on in the background through the US Treasury as to how, and there's been bridges, as I mentioned before, like with Zinfin, that have been built to on-ramp these funds that will be seized through the 3 executive orders, and I was going to come to those in a minute.
Well, can I just ask? There are people saying in the chat now, and I've had emails from people who want to know who's behind all this. Who are they to dictate how this is going to go? Why is it going? You know, it sounds like the people are being dictated to once again. They don't have a choice in this going forward. Is there a quantum response to that?
Well, I'll respond to that. I'll just say, you know, when people ask me those questions, we've been living under already order by the Jesuits and the Khazarians, all of the cabal. They could shut your bank account down right now. You have no choice. And this is the part that people don't understand. Everything that we do right now is it's already digitized. I mean, your debit card, your credit card, your bills that you pay. How many people use a checkbook? You know, and then if you look into your checkbook, running a check, you know, that's not safe. So every time you use your debit card, you use your credit card, or you do electronic bank transfer, there's fees involved. And every time that there's fees involved, there are a number of companies that are touching that transaction each time. There's a fraction of a percentage of that transaction that all these people are touching every one of your transactions. So with that being said, with the new quantum system, those people are not going to be able to touch those transactions. So you're going to have a consumer and a merchant being able to do business together without all those fees. No one's touching those fees. So it's good for the merchant. It's good for the customer. What that does is it breaks us away from the Federal Reserve, breaks us away from the IRS, breaks us away from the IMF. So we're able to do our transfer of currency from one to the other without all these transactions and all these fees. So it's totally a sovereign.
Will that work the same way? Will that work the same way from the merchant to his providers and work its way back to, say, our primary producers, so that right from the wheat grown in the field, you know, as you say, it's been clipped all the way past. There've been so many agencies, so many taxes, so many little bits of the pie taken that we are left with farmers here in Australia who are getting paid, you know, cents in the dollar for litres of milk, and are unable to sustain it going forward unless they gain a lot more private support from the Australians. And well, there's a few other shady things going on in other parts of our livestock industry as well. We've got New South Wales government officials going out to outback West New South Wales farmers, telling them not to continue breeding livestock, and that they will pay them the same amount they'd earn every year out of livestock through carbon credits, but only as long as that they stop growing livestock. So our governments are moving towards all sorts of heinous things. This will cut off their money supply, won't it, if we go down this route?
No. This route, and Vince has just asked us again, who is in control? We, the people, will be in control. We will become our own bank. Banks will become a thing of the past. All the taxes that we know are going under Jasara. You want to know who the driving force behind Jasara is? The farmers. They are the driving force to better increase their bottom lines, because, yes, we know they get peanuts in the dollar. Yes, my son is a dairy farmer.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a retired dairy farmer. So yes, I do understand that, and I do understand how badly
I come from dairy farming and spud growing stock myself.
Yeah, so
That's
I know
great.
how badly the supermarkets have screwed the dairy farmers. So yes, Jasara is being driven by the farmers and the Farmers Bill. Jim knows a little bit more about the Farmers Bill than I do, but with Jasara, we're going to see an end to taxes as we know it. We're going to see an end to our government, or I should say government as we know it. They're all going. And we will have a newly elected government. Things are going to really change.
When you say newly elected, when you say we will have a newly elected government, will that be after a period of time where people are told exactly what's going on? And
yes,
because if we're saying things here like the government's going to go, it doesn't mean the government's going to be overthrown by the people or anything. Nobody's waving guns around carrying on. But what's this new government? And wouldn't the people, given their current education level, just vote in the fools that we've got currently anyway? No. So is there going to be a period of education about all this?
There will be a period of education, and once Jasara is announced publicly, I believe there's a 120-day window to re-elect a newer government. And it is my understanding, and Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, but any current elected official will be ineligible to stand again.
Yeah. So what's happening? What's happening right now is that the white hats are showing the people, and I know this is going to be hard for probably your audience to grasp this, because there's two worlds going on right now. Okay, and you're going to think I'm crazy, but this is what's really going on right now. You got, if you know about Agenda 2021, if you know about Agenda 25, you know about Agenda 2030, what these evil bastards were going to do to us, they were going to try and extinct the human race. They were going to eliminate 90% of us off the face of the earth. That's what this whole COVID was. Okay. So in the background, the black hats were running this new system, this new money system that they were going to control us. So when people ask you, well, God, it sounds like they're going to control us with this money system. No, what happened is we've known about this. The white hats and the Q team have known about this for years. So what we did is when I say we, I mean the white hats. We're taking what they were going to do to us and we're modifying it and we're turning it into the people's market, like Jane's saying. Okay. So this is going to give us our sovereignty. Yep. You guys all heard about sovereignty. Okay. So this is going to allow us with this new financial system. This financial system is going to run on your Q phone, and the Q phones are going to be coming out. But right now we're using our devices and we're using different types of wallets, which we'll talk. There's an exchange wallet, there's a secured wallet, and a lot of these wallets are going to go away once things flip over the Q phone. And we'll get into that later on. I want to keep this as basic as possible for our first call. So just know this.
Sure.
We won this war. Okay. Our brothers and sisters around this world, we won the war. We're going through the final battle phases, and we're also cleaning up what's going on in our local governments. Okay. And then in our country right now, here in the States, it's the state, it's the county, it's the townships. I mean, it's right down to our school districts. And I'm sure the same thing's happening there in Australia. So what's happening behind the scenes is that the white hats are taking over. We're filtering out all the evil in the world. And this is going to go on for years. So the quantum system, from what I know, from my research, has been running behind the scenes and catching all these people. Okay. The same thing's in the financial market. When we're talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum, I believe the white hats took over that. They're just letting it run like it has been. And they're tracking and they're making arrests with the people that are in that dirty system. Okay. And once it switches over, it'll be all run on the quantum system. Those coins are not ISO approved, so they will not be coming on board. Okay. So going back to what we're talking about, the 5 coins that Jane just talked about, those are your main foundation coins. There are many coins that are going to be a part of this. So we're throwing you a lot. I mean, there's a lot that we're coming to you with. Don't get frustrated. Don't get fearful. We're just sharing with you information now. We will do more shows down the road that'll really break things down. And I always use an illustration, a visual. And I say, we're throwing you the whole Thanksgiving dinner right now. We're putting the whole platter of all this in front of you. And now we're going to just dissect it. We're going to take little bits of it in further shows to really show you how it goes. And again, I want to just keep saying this over and over. QSI, Quantum Steller Initiative, if you go to Telegram and you've got the link there, the new basics, the new basic schooling and education program will be extremely helpful if you go through all the steps on QSI. But that's kind of a breakdown on where we're at with the new quantum financial system. It's totally transparent, it's totally secure, and it's for us, the people. It takes all the bullshit out of our financial world. It takes all the bureaucracy, all the red tape.
People seem to be worried about the tracking ability of it. Every transaction you make will be tracked. I don't think they've put together that along with Nasara Jasara will come a quantum influx of what we believe will be the taxes you've paid over your life, the money that's illegally taken from you, etc., etc. So the desire for money, I think, is going to be taken away, or the immediate need for vast amounts of it. Would I be fair in saying, that's going to change the mindset of how people will view this quantum changeover?
You want to go first, Jane, or you want me to?
Yeah, no, I can. Look, as people start to become more aware of the information that's available, and more aware of how things are going to work, and how things are fully transparent, and that we are in control ourselves, and they come to learn how badly we've been cheated out, not just with our straw man, but with our taxes, with our loans, everything that we've been cheated out of, that it will come back to us as a UBI. Yeah, and natural resources, it will come back to us as a UBI or a universal basic income. People are going to have that. And I believe that there's different rates. And in Jim's case, he's actually taken his straw man back and has become a sovereign citizen. So it's going to become a lot simpler. And as Jim said, all the bullshit's going to be gone. And no doubt he's got more to add.
Yep. All right.
So, when you take a look at back in 2017, when Trump had his inauguration speech, he referred to America a lot during that speech, but he was really talking to the whole world. Okay. And it's important that people understand that when he stood on that podium and as he was speaking, the military, every branch of the military walked behind him. Okay. And if you haven't seen that speech, I encourage you to go back and listen to his speech in 2017 and listen to the words that he speaks, because everything we're living in right now is in that speech. And when he says, for too long, Washington, D.C. and all the governments have been prospering over the people. And he says, I'm giving back. This is merely not going to be a transfer of power from one party to another. This is going to be taking the power back from our government and giving it back to you, the people. Okay, so this is what we're going on right now. So based on the information that we've been researching, 90% of government's going away. We don't need all this bullshit. We don't need mandates. We don't need this. All this is going to go away. So this quantum financial system is all about giving the power back to the people and not the banking system. Because when you learn about the banking system, the central banks have been running the whole entire world. So there's two things that they've enslaved us with, and we've allowed this to happen. So I want to be clear on this. We, the people, have allowed this to happen. It's finally come to a breaking point where we know that our elections were fraud. We never had a say in our elections. They were all of our countries are corporations. Okay, so there's a reason why this is all happening, and we could go in deep about this, about how many resets there's been here on the planet Earth. And I have a group of people that research this with me, and I'm very blessed to have some very smart people behind the scenes. But this is the 5th reset that's ever happened. There's been other resets, so people need to do some research on that too.
Wow.
This time, humanity wins. Okay, so we're taking back our court systems, we're taking back our school systems, we're taking back our universities, we're taking back our governments, and we're taking back our financial systems, and we're taking back from all the bullshit in the religious part of it. I know that's going to shock a lot of ears, but religion's another entity that's been controlling humanity. And like Jane was talking earlier about our Christ conscious, believing the Christ within us, God created us in his image. We have the power. We've allowed them to take the power away from us. And once we learn that we can take the power away from us, then this new quantum system, and I encourage you to do the research on quantum. The quantum is giving the power back to the people. We're going to be self-governing. Part of being sovereign is taking responsibility for yourself, not relying on other people. That's why we always say this information we're giving you, do your own research. This is our new future, folks. This is where we're going.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions to ask.
Yeah,
okay,
go ahead.
Carl? Okay, so you mentioned there a universal global basic income, which is something that's also being promoted on the other side of the fence. You will have money, but you'll own nothing, that sort of thing. How do you have an answer for that? I mean, the quantum system sounds very similar to what the dark side is trying to promote. The probably only difference that I can gather here is who's actually in control, who's going to be able to turn off or turn on things. So that's the question. If everyone's going to have a basic system, basic income, how do people progress, become better?
Jane, you want to go first or you want me to go?
No, I'll go with the universal basic income. It's coming from your straw man account from all the taxes, all the interest and finance charges that you've paid over your lifetime. If the white hats were to go and hand you a lump sum of funds, you suddenly had great abundance, are you going to spend it wisely, or are you going to blow it without having mentally prepared yourself for it? Therefore, it's my understanding it's going to be paid as a UBI to allow people to have that basic income and maintain a certain standard of living for the remainder of their life. And, you know, I could have totally got it wrong, and no doubt Jim's got more to add.
No, you're right. Here's the thing that people got to wrap their head around, okay? For generations, these bastards have been stealing from our grandparents, our great-grandparents. It goes all the way back. Every bit of our income taxes has never gone to our country. It's gone to the Vatican, okay? When you look at all the money that's been stolen from us, okay, let me back up. Let me even go back even further. And I'll ask you gentlemen this question. Do you really believe the world that we've been living in? I'm going to be 58 years old here in a month and a half. Do you really believe we've been living in a God-created world? With all the concrete, with all the everything that's been going on our whole life, do you really believe this is what God wanted? What's your answer?
No.
All right, there you go, right there. So this what we're living in is a very biblical time. We're done with this, all of us. And this is where we need to, we really do it. I know I have the American flag behind me, and I'm patriotic, and we're all patriotic, but this is a real strong voice that I will tell you this. We all need to come together as God's children. I don't come to this channel saying I'm an American. I'm your brother. Jane's our sister. We're God's children. We need to come together as one. This is what this movement's all about. Where we go one, we go all. And it's not just a slogan. It's a real reality. There's a reason why we're connecting. We're talking together right now. Thank God for this technology. And I tell people this all the time. Yeah, COVID pisses me off to no end, and I can't stand the things that happen to people. We are in a war, folks. We are in a war. But we're going to win this war because God has already won this. So just know this. The quantum system gives us back our power. Now, for those questions that you're asking about tracking, they've been tracking our transactions our whole life. And if you're not nefarious and you're not doing evil things to one another, what the hell's the difference? God's watching everything we do. So I tell this because when people say, well, I don't want people to do this, God's watching your every move. So if you're worried about being tracked, then you need to do some inner work, like Jane says, and know that this new world we're going into is a godly world. And God's watching everything you do.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I hope that answers your question.
Just on that point. Oh, it does. Jane, just on that point, there are a lot of people who watch this show particularly who've decided to get their super out of Big Super, their superannuation I'm talking about there, Jim, and converted into gold and silver. So scattered all across Australia, buried in backyards and in shook sheds and, hollow trees and behind walls, is quite a lot of silver and gold. Where do those people get left when the QFF switches over and these 5 coins, which I know we're going to get to, come into use? There's a lot of inheritance stuff that people have got, be that money or gold and silver, that, currently the taxman or the governments don't know about. And I understand that with what comes after, there will be no government or tax agent to bother taking notice of it. But these people are worried about the security, I guess. At the moment, they're holding large amounts of gold and silver.
They have absolutely nothing to worry about. Keep it stashed, sit on it, ready for the RV and for the revaluation of gold and silver, because they'll be sitting on a gold mine, so to speak.
Right, but they're not going to be able to get it out in pineapples, or that's some of the way we call money around here. Sorry, Jim, I keep forgetting you're American. So they're not going to get it out $50 and $100 notes.
No.
It'll come in a different form. So do you want to explain how that'll be?
They can. My understanding is that it will go onto the quantum financial system, or they will trade it as gold or silver. But Jim might have more to add. But yes, they'll be perfectly safe with it.
So your precious metals. I mean, think about what I'm saying right now. Precious metals. Why do they call it precious metals? Because God created it. It's precious. It's always been there to secure our wealth. Okay, so it has a substantial value.
Yeah.
And we'll find out through time here that silver could, the word that you got to listen to, the words I'm using here, that silver could surpass gold in value, because silver has so much value to it in the new industry that we're going into, in the technology, and there's 50% less silver than there is gold in the whole entire world. So there is a higher value. And I'm glad that Emily brought this up on a previous podcast, because I've known this, and so has Andy, for about a year now. If you go back and you look at back in the early 1900s, I believe it. Don't hold me to it. I want to say it was 1908. But the Olympics, gold was never part. The gold medal that was never part of the Olympics. It was silver that was first place. Yeah. It was silver, copper, and bronze. So it's real important that people know the history.
Yeah.
So silver is in copper. People are overlooking the value of copper. Copper is going to have a big play in this. So, you know, when you get into the precious metals, so when I said secure, that means that by having that gold or silver or copper or palladium or whatever precious metal you're going to hold, that's going to be valuable. So at any point, that's going to secure our monetary system, our new abundance. I like calling it abundance because we're getting a lot of abundance back. All right. So by having that physical silver, you're going to be just fine, because if you ever need, after the RV, the reevaluation, you could sell that silver at that value, and it's going to be a much higher value. It secures your wealth.
And I assume then, if you're selling it, if you're going to sell it, you're going to get XLM for it.
The XLM, so there's going to be a currency that's going to come out. So you guys are going to have a new currency too. So we still will have a currency that's going to do this transfer. It's not going to go 100% digital right away. For those that get into it early, there's going to be a lot of benefits to it, because you could buy, I'll give you an example. So you can buy XLM right now for right around 8 or 9 cents. Okay. 8 or 9 cents a token. When this flips, let's just say that you go in there and you bought $100 worth of XLM, okay? And $100 in XLM, we'll just say we'll just say a round number, 1,000 XLMs, and you spent $100 on XLMs, and then after the flip, let's say that those XLMs go to $35, $40, or $50. Or $100. You see the value?
Yeah, right.
On a 9 cent. So here's a great visual. If you go back to the .com era, I was approached to buy AOL stock for 2 cents. And I knew nothing about it. I didn't do it. I had a buddy of mine who just said, Jimmy, just put $100 into it. Well, he put $1,000 into it, became a millionaire within months, and then it grew from millions into a lot more on $100. So this is where this is at. I mean, just if you put $100, if you put $50 into this, and Jane will tell you this, if you just bought some XLM, you bought some XRP, and you bought some sovereign gold bonds. Those are the 3 that I tell people right now to get, and then grow your wallet from there. You could get sovereign gold bonds. You could buy 922 tokens for $44. I think it's like $44.60 cents. Well, if those tokens go to 1 penny, if they go to 1 penny, do the math. The wealth, people really got to wrap their head around this. The wealth is coming back to the people. The people are going to be taking this new wealth and using it for humanitarian projects. And it's real important when people hear this, that we're talking about millions and we're talking about trillions, and your straw man coming back to you, and your income taxes are coming back to you, and your interest you paid on every loan's coming back to you, every license you've had in your life, that's a bond, that's coming back to you. There's lots of things that this cabal has been they've been doing to us for years and years and years. Those monies are coming back to us, folks. We're not going to be living check to check anymore. Okay? We're going to rebuild our world with new technologies. We're going to take all the shit they've done to us, and we're going to take what they've done to us, and we're going to make it beautiful. And it's not going to be done by government. People need to understand the word government. Govern means to control, ment means your mind. We can get into word salads too. There's all kinds of words that we've been taught that they're used against us. So just know this.
Yep.
Do not fear this new abundance system. I don't like even using the word money, because if you even look at our currency, it's all got all kinds of witchcraft and demonic things to it. This is now it's like Jane was saying, this is the people's money system. This is our money system. God's given us back our land.
So,
now we got to take control of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jane, how do we convert the, $247.50 in a single mum's bank account, currently, let's say with, ANZ Bank, and how is that going to translate into what you're talking about here, whether with Stellar or with Ripple, or how does she get a wallet? What's a wallet? Why do we need one? How is all this important?
It's actually very simple, and it is all covered in the Stellar Basics course that QSI has put together that Jim mentioned before. It actually goes into a lot of this QFS governance details and the proofs of that, and there's lots of articles to go and read, and from reputable sources. But the easiest way for us as Australians that I have found to be able to onboard into Stellar, because we don't actually have an Australian hot wallet or cold wallet, we need to use an exchange to onboard our funds. So I've been using CoinSpot, which is Victorian based, but it's Australian, and I deposit directly from my bank account into CoinSpot. You do have to go through a little bit of KYC in order to be you can buy your XLM on CoinSpot or your XRP, but I don't leave it on CoinSpot because CoinSpot is an exchange, and exchanges are not safe because you do not hold the keys to that wallet that you're depositing into. In order for it to be safe and you to be able to have control of it, you need to have your 12 key words or your word phrase, and you need to have your secret key. Now, we talk Lobster a lot, LOBSTR, a lot when we're talking about setting up a wallet on the Stellar network. Lobster is what's known as a hot wallet. It's a trading platform, but your wallet and coins are all stored on the Stellar blockchain, not within Lobster itself. So when you talk to a number of QSI people, we'll talk about trading on Lobster, but we know that there are other trading platforms for Stellar in development. But at the moment, Lobster is the platform that we use. It is what's known as a hot wallet. Our coins are safe in Lobster. There are others, and there's that's it. And there are other wallets and that are cold storage ones that some people choose to store their XRP or their XLMs on. Not all coins that are available on Stellar are able to be, say, stored on a Ledger Nano. And then there are other wallets that are, say, specific to XRP or Ripple. Zinfin has its own wallet, but then you've also got another wallet that you can store your XDC, SGB, which is Songbird, not the SGB that Jim was talking about before, because Flare Network has its own set of coins as well. There's multiple things, but let's just stick to Stellar.
So this it's starting to sound a little bit confusing for older folks when it comes to multiple coins, this and this wallet for that, but it's not secure if it's an exchange. This, how is this going to be made simple? I think Jim alluded to it before. People are thinking about this using current technology, and you can't be blamed for that because it's all you know and understand. Jim, we are not only just going to get a quantum leap forward in the financial system, we're going to get a quantum leap forward in, well, personal telephonic security. Is that the best way of describing it?
Yeah, it is. And just know this, they've been holding technology back from us for a long, long time. They've had this information. We, Jane, myself, you guys, we're going to learn a lot about ourselves too. And we're going to learn about our pineal gland, and we're going to learn about the power that we've had. This is why they've suppressed humanity, because we have a lot more power than what was given to us or what was taught to us. And they've controlled us by the chemicals in our foods and our medical system. They've constantly suppressed us. They've enslaved us. And you've heard, many people before us, and I've heard it before, that we're just a bunch of slaves. Well, guess what, folks? We are. We just don't know any different, because we were born into this slave. I could get into a bunch more adjectives that I'm not going to get into, but these evil bastards have been suppressing us from the time that we came out of our mother's womb. And people need to understand that. We're not supposed to be dying. We're not supposed to be leaving Earth when we're 60, 70, 80 years of age. We're not supposed to have all these diseases. These are all man-made diseases. And then they give us titles for it. Okay? The same thing applies with our whole education system and our careers. I'm looked upon, if you're a contractor, that's Jim the contractor, or that's, Pat the banker, or that's Jane the nurse. We've categorized people where we've lost who we are as God's creation. We've thrown titles at. If you look at your educational system, they throw you a diploma, or they throw you a degree, or they throw you some type of title. The same thing they did to you when you came out of your mother's womb. They went to your mother and father, unbeknownst to them, and said, hey, we want you to get your birth certificate. Well, they didn't know that our birth certificate was actually a bond. Okay? So they've been trading us like a corporation. We were all changed into a corporation. For all those that are on this call, if you look at all your bank statements, you look at your driver's license, you look at your birth certificate, everything's in capital letters. You are a corporation. You are deemed dead at birth. You're a commodity of the government. Okay? So what we're doing right now, which I'm bringing this into the conversations, is that all this is coming back to us. So just know this introduction video that we're doing right now is merely this. We're throwing a lot of information at you. Jane and I will come back. We will break it down more and more in future shows. We're just introducing it to you. We're way more advanced than everyone else. Don't fear. Don't panic. There's plenty of time, because all these funds that are coming back to you that they stole from us, you're going to be able to invest back into the quantum financial system with the new digital assets. And I'm just going to share this with you. It's real important people understand that these tokens are so affordable that you're going to be able to get into the stock market. You're going to be able to make investments where how many people in this world were able to play in the stock market, or they were able to make investments to better their family, better themselves. Everyone now is going to have an even playing field. It's just as Trump said in 2017. I know I keep referring back to it. If you go to his speech and listen to the words, he said, I'm going to create an even playing field for all. And this is where it's at right now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's get a little bit deeper then into it. Jane, do you want to take us forward into how, I guess let's start using an example. There are plenty of people who like buying things on Marketplace and Facebook. There are plenty of people who sell their cars quietly on the side of the road for a few dollars cash every weekend, or they go out and sell, particularly in your country, I believe the kids go out onto the footpath a fair bit and sell glasses of homemade lemonade, Jim. Our kids aren't quite that industrious in most cases. They'll go out and sell the next door neighbour's bike. But the thing remains the same. How does that transfer happen when you're on the side of the road somewhere? Obviously that's going to be hooked up in the technology. Are we all going to have our own FPOS machine?
It's my understanding that once we move past the rainbow currency phase, which is the phase that we will have between our fiat currency to going fully quantum, there will be a phase in with rainbow currency, which will be digital, but you will still have that physical rainbow currency, but it will have the digital tracking in it. It's my understanding that eventually everyone's going to have a wallet, whether it be on their Q phone, whether it be Lobster, whether it be Stellar, whether it be Ripple, and you will be able to pay from wallet to wallet. It'll just be a transfer.
Yep, right. So you basically bump your phones together and it'll happen.
Yep. You know, yeah. Scan a code on the other one's phone and pay them.
And Jim, you touched on it before, that the trackability shouldn't be worrying anybody who's not doing the right thing. But how's this going to work for my local what am I going to say, horticulturalist that I call around to every month and, you know, hand over $300 for a bag of his special herbs and spices?
So I'll just share this, okay? So when everyone gets onto the new system, like Jane was saying, okay, Jane and I have exchanged coins. I'm in northern Minnesota, okay? I'm about an hour and a half, 2 hours from the Canadian border.
Wow.
I can send.
It's bloody cold at the moment. Thanks for getting out of bed.
Yeah. Jan and I can exchange through our wallets. It happens in 5 seconds.
Wow.
Think about that. So
I've got something
the
really
reason
good to add to that, Jim.
What's that, Jane?
I've got something really good. I've got some statistics. Jim said we can do it in 5 seconds, but Emily's put out some really interesting statistics tonight. So period of time operations TPS. So back in March 2022, she reported on Stellar Starlight being beta tested at roughly 2 million transactions per second, a significant upgrade to when Stellar had just upgraded to 100 transactions per second back in November 2021 via SpeedX. Now we can happily confirm Stellar's speed has been operating at a whopping average of 107,532,051 transactions per second from January 2022 to February 2023. So that is how fast it is becoming to be able to transfer funds. And as Jim said, he was struggling to find a trust line on his Lobster wallet. So I sent him a few tokens so that he could claim them as a pending transaction and be able to add the trust line in his wallet that way. And he had them before I even could finish asking him if he'd received them in his wallet.
I can see that we're about to be pounded by a whole bunch of email scams telling us to get involved right now and buy this, buy that, and use this wallet. How do we identify what's good, what's bad?
Ignore the lot is probably the best thing. There is a section on QSIresources.com and also as part of the Stellar Basics training that QSI have put together through research and knowledge from trial and error, working out what's worked and what hasn't, that will allow you to understand which wallets are recommended and which are not. So QSIresources.com.
Yeah, right. So you guys do research into these and show, you know, what's good, what's not, so to speak. So a recommendation.
Yeah, they're a recommendation, but at the end of the day, we'll put them on the recommended list after, you know, whether a task force, QSI task force members been using them, or we hear about them from members of the QSI community in our global chat or in our local quorum chats. Yep. Or on our local quorum calls. we will go and do some research ourselves, work out, you know, and in some instances, someone may talk to one of the developers, and that especially in the case of projects that are listed on Stellar, and before they are recommended, several people will have tried them, will have been using them, you know, see whether it's user friendly before they even go on the recommended list.
Yeah, great. All right, well, lead us on then. We've had the big changeover, and my $247.50 is now locked up in a wallet that I can't remember 12 words and a secret code to get into. Any tips on?
You've been a naughty boy, because those 12 secret words, do not lose them. When you open your wallet, make sure you write them down. Do not screenshot them, because that becomes a scammer's paradise, because your screenshot will be saved on the cloud, and the cloud is hackable. So make sure that 12 phrase words, you write them down, and put them in 2 or 3 safe places, whether it's in your storage unit where the mice can't get them, in a filing cabinet, just somebody where safe. Some people that I've spoken to have actually got little tin tiles, and they've actually engraved those secret words onto those tin tiles, and they've put them somewhere so that they, you know, if say they have a house fire, that tin tile won't burn.
Oh, wow, that's a good idea.
Yeah, so those 12 words, please write them down. Do not lose them, and do not lose your secret key. And whatever you do, do not compromise your secret key, because if a scammer gets hold of your secret key, your wallet can and will be compromised.
Okay, so
Sam, let me piggyback on to what Jane was saying, because this is important. Number one, always take care of your secret keys. Okay, that is the combination to your safe. Okay, the only one that should know anything about your secret keys is whoever's in your will. Okay, or in your living trusts. We're going into living trusts, not wills anymore. That's another whole word salad. But just make sure that you secure them. Okay, we've been putting them onto recipe cards and then laminating them so they can't get wet and the ink destroys it. And then I put it into my fireproof safe. Okay, that's how I do it. But it's important that you secure your wallet and you don't share that word phrase with anyone. With that being said, you talked about emails. Jane or I or Emily or anyone from QSI, including Whiplash 347, will never ever email you asking you about any digital coins or your wallet. The only people we will respond back to are the people that correspond with us first. And I want to make this clear. Jane or I or Emily or anyone on QSI or Whiplash, we're not financial advisors, nor do we want to be one. And I'm not a lawyer, nor do I want to be one, if you can read between the lines. So all we're doing is providing you the information. You do your own research. If you have questions, you go to QSI on Telegram and go through the educational project, and you are progress, and you will find that you will learn a lot through that. They've done a great job. A lot of these questions that are being asked right now will be answered on QSI.
So, Jim, I may or may not know an idiot who may or may not have opened a lobster wallet at some point in the past with some good intention to do something with it, and would have not the vaguest idea what happened with any security key, much less the 12 words associated with it. Could I get any advice for that idiot?
If you are still able to log into it, maybe open a new one with a new email and transfer whatever assets you have into it to the new one, where you know your 12 phrase words and you know your
pretty confident the idiot in question didn't have any assets in the wallet, except
well,
maybe
if there's no assets in the wallet, then just throw that one away and go and start a new one with a slap on the wrist, and know that you need to do it for the new one.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll pass that on to the idiot.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain the idiot's already heard the message.
Thank you. Yes,
Question
you're right.
Okay, here's a question. What about for that time when, like all good electronic infrastructures, it goes down? What is the alternative for somebody to trade at that point?
When everything goes dark, you will not be able to trade at that particular point. We will, have to wait for the system to come back up, and you won't be able to trade at that point. So, but what some have done, a number have done, those of us that have been in for a while, have got some sneaky buy orders set, because we have been told that the price will be going down even further than what it has. So there's a few of us that have got some really super sneaky max buy orders set to enable, and if they fill, they fill. If they don't, they don't. We'll cancel them later and go and, buy something else. But on the off chance that they'll fill, there are some sneaky buy orders set.
Yeah, that's actually not what I was getting at. I was more like, wonderful Australia is a very large area of country, and in some places, even now today, right, you can still not get internet or phone services or bits and pieces. So if you're needing to purchase something, say you're halfway across the Nullarbor Plain, and that particular service station you pull into suddenly doesn't have internet service because the local tower has had a furphy and died.
We're not going to use the swear word, I thought.
Hey?
I said I thought we weren't going to use the swear word starting with T tonight.
I didn't mention any. I just said tower. I didn't mention a name. I just said furphy. Yeah. But see, at the moment, we have the old fiat cash currency that we can still use to pay for that service. So what's the options there?
Well, in the future, we're going to have Starlink, and Starlink is satellite.
Yep.
And so that T word, that T swear word that we all, use, they will potentially be a thing of the past. And won't we all love to see them go? They are actually listed on the exchange or on the au.indus.exchange on Stellar. So is that because they're going to be wound up? I have heard that their headquarters in Melbourne is now a vacant building. So who knows?
All right, next question. You mentioned various wallets and bits and pieces. Sorry, I'm taking over here, Carl.
No, mate, you go.
You mentioned various wallets and bits and pieces, and you said there is a prescribed set of wallets that is recognised, and there are some that are not recognised or not. What was the word you actually used? Not recommended.
Not
For instance,
recommended.
I have some XLM in one of those not recommended wallets.
Yeah, well, they're the ones that Whip and Emily have, the not recommended ones that several task force members have tested a number of wallets, and I know there's been some intel come through on some of the others that may potentially not be favourable to us as individuals. So therefore, they're not on the recommended list, and we can't guarantee their safety. Therefore, we do, as Jim was saying before, encourage everyone to do their own research on the wallets and to work out what is most suitable for you for your personal situation. However, if they're not on the recommended list of wallets, I'd be doing some serious research. I know myself as an individual would not be comfortable in having something stored in a wallet that wasn't on the recommended list, which is why it's taken me a little bit longer to say go and buy some XDC, because I had to figure out which wallet I was going to use, because I can't do it on Lobster.
Yeah. So one of the biggest challenges out there is actually, in this situation, it'd be like having 5 different bank accounts with 5 different cards, because you have 5 different wallets.
Correct. But you've
And
just
5
got different
times
apps
12
on your
different
phone.
words.
Sorry, Carl?
And 5 times 12 different words and 5 different secret codes to remember.
Yep. Yep.
Exactly. So that's why it's absolutely paramount that you write them down in a safe place.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Vince, you got more?
No, perhaps you keep asking what you want. I mean, we can talk a little bit about wallets and keys and stuff afterwards, so these guys aren't tied up here all night, just to give a basic understanding for those who want to invest in or investigate this further. But at the moment, I'll just pop in when I have a question.
How is this going to work, Jane, for kids? Being sovereign, getting access to, let's call it our sovereign dowry for the moment. Every kid will have access to that, presumably from a certain age. Their parents would have access to it before then, or is this going to be controlled and meted out in some way by the government? How's the kid going to walk in and buy a lolly if pocket money isn't pocket money the way we're used to doing it anymore?
Good question. I don't know. I do know that my 15-year-old does have a wallet, but it started out as being mine. Technically, you are supposed to be 18. So, yes, her wallet had started out as being in my name, and it still has got my name on it, as well as hers. So it is going to be interesting how that's going to be handled. It is my understanding that strawman accounts will not become, will be for those 18 years and over. I'm not sure whether or how it's going to be meted out for those that are under 18 when they start, when the UBIs start or are initiated. So, yeah, you know, that's one thing that I don't know the answer to.
Okay, definition of UBI, please.
UBI, Universal Basic Income.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yep.
All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty of it, Jane. I don't own very much, but do I wrap it all up into one coin and say, here is $15,000 worth of shit, and it's Carl's shit? How do I spread, if I have to, go down to cash converters and get rid of some of my shit so I can live for the week? How does this going to work in this system?
My understanding is once this system has RV'd, you're also going to have your UBI. The necessity to be able to, or the need to live hand to mouth.
To go to that sort of thing will be gone. Yeah.
Bad example. Will be gone. That is my understanding. That is what JASARA will bring in, because your goods and services tax, your fuel excise tax, your road levies. Oh yeah, that one too will all be gone.
Yep.
And your herbs and spices, well, they might just become a little bit more common.
I was asking for a friend. I just want to be clear on that point with regard to herbs and spices.
Your radio personalities are all alike. I know another one that likes his herbs and spices.
Good for cooking with. Okay,
moving on.
Question for us that have a strawman account at the moment. I can understand that. Once this system kicks into play, newborns won't have a strawman account.
Correct.
What happens to them?
Well, you would expect that with the abundance that's going to come with the UBI, and for those of us that have actually invested into the QFS early, and have with the revaluation, like, you know, as Jim was saying before, 1XLM, here last week, I actually bought 1.74 billion tokens in one asset just for 1XLM. So that was about 8-9 US cents. So I talk on my assets in US currency because I'm dealing, and I used to do some export, so it was all in US. So my brain works that way. But you know, potentially when that first went live, it was 1.7 million was the value sitting in my wallet for 24 to 48 hours. So that's just an indication of the value that's going to come with that asset. Yeah, sure, it's an illiquid asset at the moment because the liquidity is not there, because the RV has not happened. So therefore, the wealth that has been seized under the 3 executive orders that Trump signed, plus the USMCA, Section 27.5, have not flown into Stellar yet, because the official declass for the world has not yet occurred. I don't believe that we're going to see full liquidity come into these assets until we've seen the resolution of several court cases. So the Ripple SEC case is a classic example. For those of us in the know, we know that that was settled in October 2021. And Emily has the evidence of that. And she put that on an interview that she did with Mel Carmine on the XRP channel, that to prove that Ripple has already won that court case. Yep. So, there's lots happening in the background that if you know what's going on, you can see, and you're awake and fast enough to see some stuff. Because like as Jim was saying before, Flash 347, he'll post something and then it might last 5-10 minutes on his channel and it's gone. So, you know, there's a lot of people now, they're getting really smart to him. They'll screenshot it so that they can keep it for future reference to be able to go and research on, because he might have posted it and then he's told, oh, you shouldn't have posted that yet, so he's got to take it down. So some of us see that stuff really quickly, and that keeps us going, digging on further topics. So, yeah.
Well, speaking of digging a little bit, last week the ANZ Bank released, or ASIC documents were released showing that a vast number of ANZ banking corporation companies were no longer registered or had been deregistered, and there were only 5 left, I think, at the time that were still operational. I've got to admit, I haven't been back to the ASIC site to have a look. Has anything changed there? What should people be thinking when they see those sorts of things happening in the current financial system?
In the current financial system, and then we go to New Zealand and see ANZ trying to borrow money in New Zealand to stay afloat. Wow,
I didn't realise that.
And I think Emily had a good old chuckle when she read it. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how long they stay around. Only Australian bank that I have seen out of the big 4 that are SPIA compliant, so SPIA, SPIA, Stellar Protocol Integrity Audit compliant, and are minting their own stable coin, is the NAB.
Right,
they're the only ones that have announced that they're minting a stable coin, so therefore they must be Basel III compliant, because Basel IV came in on January 1, and that is Basel III. And that means all banks need to hold gold or silver to secure, so precious metals, to secure funds that they have deposited in them.
Right. So that is a significant I was going to say hurdle, but it's a significant guarantee that the banks have got to reach to be able to continue operating as banks. are all our banks going to be able to have access to the right amount of gold and silver? Oh, well, Jim, that's probably a question for you. Are American banks going to be able to have that sort of access? How many banks do you expect you'll wind up with after the flip?
First of all, I want to apologize for losing my power. This app really chews up the battery, but I had to plug in. Eventually, the banks are going to go away. The time frame of that's on. We don't know that, but you can already see that a number of banks, they'll tell you, "Oh yeah, we got a new system, we got a new infrastructure," but they won't tell you that it's a QFS structure. And I think it's all done by design. Okay.
Yeah.
Most of these banks, once this flip happens, they're going to become just nothing more than an exchange center. A place that you can go to and you can take your wallet and you can withdraw some cash out of your Quantum account, because the Quantum system's running behind the scenes right now with XLM and XRP, excuse me, behind the scenes. And when this all flips, everyone's going to have a Quantum system. So your banking account is going to be a Quantum account. So everyone's going to have they're all going to have to be compliant. It's all about complicity.
I've seen a few people in the chat tonight, and I'd like to thank everybody in the chat in Rumble tonight. There are a lot of people in there answering questions, I guess, from QSI, because there's a lot of knowledge being passed around in the chat room tonight. I have seen a couple of people just say, "No, not for me. I don't want it. I don't want to be part of it. I don't want." Is there a way that, for those people that don't want to be involved with this system, can they opt out?
Well, here's the situation. Okay, this is the new system we're going into, and you can resist all you want. This is all about our ascension process, and I really want to reach out to those people and make them understand. Don't be fearful of this. This system is for us, and I know we've been lied to about everything in our lives, so everyone's got their guard up. They're all like this,
Oh, yeah.
blocking shots. I get it. I understand that. I will tell you my story, my experience. I at first wanted nothing to do with this 2 years ago. So this weekend is my 2-year anniversary of being involved with the digital assets. So my dear friend, I call him my brother from another mother, Andy Kidrowski, told me, he goes, "You know so much about the history of what they've done to us. You know all about the executive orders. You know about the strawman. You know all this. You don't understand how this correlates with everything you know." And I still didn't want anything to do with it. So why I'm sharing this story is because it's really hard to go against your belief system, what you believe in a previous life. And I'm saying this, metaphorically. That's my 3D life. Okay. You have to understand where we're coming from. And so once I did my research into this, I started seeing why there's XRP, why there's XLM, why there's XDC, why this digital asset program within the quantum financial system, why it's there for us. Then the light bulbs went off. What? Yeah, because I was a merchant. I was a contractor. Why do I want to take a credit card and then I got to pay fees for accepting that credit card? Okay. Why the person who wants to use that credit card gets credits. Well, then when you learn, this is not going to have any fees like that. It eliminates all that. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other part of this, and we'll get into this, is that the money that they're borrowing us for our credit cards, for mortgages, for loans, it's all our money.
Yeah.
We're the creditor. They're borrowing us our money and charging us interest. So with this quantum financial system, it eliminates all this. So you have to really read into this, go into it with an open mind. Do not go into it fear. And I know we're throwing a lot at you. This is all brand new terminology. Just know this, okay? This is the best analogy of all the calls that I've ever done. So Emily and I did a call with Angel Warriors, and Christine and Trina, they didn't know anything about these digital assets or the quantum financial system. Nothing. I spent 2 hours with them a week and a half before the show. In that time, they did their research. They got their wallets up and running. They got assets in there. They printed off. Jane and I, outside of QSI, we printed off the QSI resources with an S, resources.com. We printed off those pages and put it into PDF so people can print them off, put them in a 3-ring binder. They went through. We did the show with them. They were excited. They're like, we get it now. We totally get it. Okay. Where I'm going with this is this. Christine came up with a great analogy, and I'm going to use it here. If you look at our music industry, we started off with what? Albums. We all had record players and albums. Okay. Then we went from albums to 8-tracks. Then we went from 8-tracks to cassette. And we even got rewind now on cassettes. Wow, that was great technology. And then we went from cassettes. We went from cassettes to CDs. And then from CDs, it went digital. So now everything's on digital. Music we can listen to digitally. The same thing's applying you guys to here. That's the best illustration I've heard, and I give her all the credit. But that is the best illustration of what we're doing with the quantum financial system, is that we're digitizing it and tokenizing everything so that no one can screw with us anymore. It's totally transparent.
So can you tell us how that's going to relate to the things I've got gathered around me? So I've got a laptop computer, I've got a busted Mac in the corner, I've got a couple of other screens, I've got a little video HDMI throw thing, so like a projector, I suppose, let's call it. Do I need to itemize all of these things and somehow add them to an asset list that becomes wrapped in a coin? Jane,
you want to go first? You want me to?
No, you can do that one.
All right. So everything that you're going to sell, like I'm going to use like a realtor. Okay. Let's just use a realtor for an example. Instead of doing a listing, it's going to be tokenized. It'll go into an NFT. You'll do a virtual tour. You'll list everything on there so that you don't have to put it all on the website. Everything's going to be tokenized. If I'm selling a car, a certain car, that car will be tokenized. It'll have all the information on that car. So like what we were talking about earlier before I left, if I'm driving down the road and I see a car parked out in front of someone's yard, and this was explained by Captain Kyle the other night, it can be 10 o'clock at night, and I drove by and I go, God, I want that car. I've been looking for that car. So you go up and you talk to the guy and or whoever is the owner of the car, and you knock on the door and says, God, I really like to buy that car. And can we take it for a drive? We take it for a drive with a whole ball of wax. You can do the transaction right there. You don't have to go to the bank you don't need a certified check. You don't need a money order. You don't need all this stuff because everything's already verified. You could do that transaction right there from one person to another at 10 o'clock at night. You don't have to wait and go to the bank. That system is all about having your wallet available to you 24/7, 365 days.
Jim, knowing that you're a sovereign, let's pretend that car is yours. Is that car registered?
So let's just back up a second. This is the paperwork that I did. We are all sovereign. God,
I agree,
created us all sovereign. So just know this. I'm not the only one sovereign. We're all sovereign. It's up to us. The Act of 1871, the reversal of the Act of 1871 is everything we're living in right now. It's part of this war. It's all part of this war. So to answer your question, all that registration, all that stuff is all going away. It's all going away.
But people would argue accidents happen, registration, insurance, accident compensation, all that sort of stuff needs to be paid. So how's that going to be covered? And some people still believe that car registration actually goes to the maintaining the roads. All sorts of fantasies around car registration.
Okay, so when you get in an insurance, okay, what is insurance? Look into the word phrase of insurance, the meaning of insurance. The insurance companies are just another tentacle of the octopus of the whole financial system that we've been under. They make us buy insurance, and then we're constantly living in fear. What if, what if, what if? How many people have used their insurance companies? What is the amount of people that have used insurance versus no? We're going to be so abundant. And I know it's hard for people to wrap their head around this. Insurance is going to go away. Okay?
Yeah.
It's going to go away. You're going to be responsible, but you also have to understand that we're going to go back to 1955 pricing. All this inflation, if you take, I mean, we could go so deep into this, I could wear out the battery on my phone again, but I got it plugged in this time.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at tabs, you look at buying license plates. Like for here in the States, every 4 years, I got to get a new driver's license. Are you kidding me? Well, the reason for that is they just create another bond. This is how they make money off of you. Okay?
Yeah.
Buying tabs, we have to buy tabs for our vehicles. It's a little sticker, it goes on our license plates. I don't know if you have to do that in Australia. It's another taxation of what they do to you. Okay, so my point being is this: every time we do something, we have to pay. We have to pay, and they mandate this. Mandates are not laws. Statutes are not laws. So all this stuff is going to go away, and then we're going to self-govern. So, you know, when it gets back to insurance, we're going to have enough money that you can create a bond instead of insurance. So you can buy a bond for those accidents that will happen. So I just want people to understand that.
So people would be covered in that event, and it's just going to be managed in a different way than we currently do it.
Correct.
A more transparent and beneficial
Correct.
way. And there is a certain lifting of humanity that is going to happen with this level of abundance coming our way. So the pressures of our daily lives will not be affecting the decisions that we make going forward, maybe as harshly or as finely as they do today. Most people's decisions are based on money today. If that is taken away from them, then the desire to commit crime, the desire to, do a whole heap of things goes away. Some would say so does the desire to work. But I would argue that with everything that comes with this abundance, it is incumbent upon us to lift our level of humanity and rise to it rather than fall like Scrooge McDuck into our money bin and go swimming in it.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Jane. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And a number of us at QSI now, I said before that we are humanitarians. A number of us have humanitarian projects in mind to undertake post-flip and post seeing liquidity come into our wallets. I mentioned my 15-year-old daughter before. She is a humanitarian. She was Moira Shire's Young Citizen of the Year in the 2021 Australia Day Awards for her services to Lions Need for Feed disaster relief. She dyed her hair blue and yellow, raising funds for Lions Need for Feed disaster relief. But she has great projects that she wants to do here in our local community. Her first one is to build a 50-metre Olympic standard swimming pool with diving platform, the works, and teach. And it's going to be a 24-hour-a-day, 12 months of the year open pool. It will be available to the community, and she wants to teach every child in this community how to swim. We live on the Murray River. We have irrigation channels, so Goulburn Murray Water's irrigation channels, where we see drownings nearly every year. So she wants to do what she can to help prevent that. So as far as she's concerned, every child needs to have the opportunity to learn to swim. That's just one of her projects.
And she's 15. That's
15.
Amazing. I've got to say, I don't see a lot of raised levels of humanity or philanthropic endeavours from young people these days. I see a lot of them engaged with their Twitter and their Twatch and, you know, whatever other thing they're playing with on their phone. But I don't often hear of young people as switched on as your daughter sounds. So you must be very proud of her, and our congratulations for her award too as Young Citizen of the Year. That's awesome.
So yeah, she's got a couple of those. So, but you know, it's all about having care and compassion for those around us. We can't be selfish with this abundance, because for those of us that have been in it for a long time, and as I said, have managed to put in max buy orders for 1XLM for just over 2 billion assets, you know, we've been given this opportunity for a reason, to be able to share and help rebuild our world, and help recover from all these evil things that the cabal and the deep state have been doing to us, to help recover from the lies that we've been told for years and years and years, for our whole lifetimes. And it's up to us as humanitarians to help put back into our communities. We've been given this opportunity. So let's grab it with both hands and do what we can to recover as a whole, because Jim said before, where we go one, we go all.
Can I just ask, if we were talking about the assets before, I specifically mentioned gold, silver, and precious metals. Where are precious stones left in all of this? Are diamonds actually worth anything? Sapphires, rubies, emeralds, all that sort of stuff. And if you happen to have a stash of them, hello to my South African friends, are they going to be worth anything?
Absolutely.
I believe so. Like, my daughter and I look after a little Nigerian toddler 6 days a week, as well as work with QSI, as well as me running my own business from home. And her mum works, 6 days a week at the local massage salon. And no, it's not one of those other ones. It's a legit one. And Mum is really enjoying learning about the quantum financial system and what she's going to be able to do with the few assets. Yes, they've been given a few assets as well, because that's part of who we are at QSI. You see someone struggling, so you give them a hand up. And, Mum's been doing all the research on all the assets that baby Blue has in her wallet. And the mum and dad have decided they're going to build a home for orphans in Nigeria. But as Jim was saying, and you're saying with the diamonds, we all know that the royal family and others have robbed Africa blind of their diamonds, their oils, their gold, everything that they could pilfer, they have.
Yep.
So that's going to be handed back to those countries.
You'll learn that a lot of these third world countries are not really third world. They kept them depressed for a reason. They didn't want them to rise up and understand that they were rich in resources. The whole world's going to learn a lot of things that we were all lied to. And even commodities, when you get into like crops, the farmers, they're going to be able to, there's going to be tokens that'll be backed by all assets. I mean, these are asset-backed, commodity-backed tokens. So there's not going to be no more fiat money. The fiat money was based on what? Our labor. We gave them our labor. Okay, so I'd like to read this because I think this is important, and these are just some notes. And so I have a wonderful nucleus of people that I've learned so much from on Telegram, and we've united and we've come together. And her name's Crystal. She's an amazing person, and I'm so glad to have her. So we're working on a project, and we're going to introduce it to QSI, and it's about the word abundance, okay, and how we see it, because this is important, because this is the new world. Everything that these questions that are coming from is the 3D world. We're getting out of the 3D world. Okay, we're taking our power back. We're going in. We're trying to transfer into 4D and 5D, and then we'll get into 6D and higher. But the new Earth vision is coming. These are just notes now. I haven't put this. I just want to share this because I think it's important so people can wrap their head around this. How are you going to keep yourself from the new world coming? Abundance is a higher vibration. Accepting this abundance, these blessings, is a higher vibration. Our economics and how they flow to you is all about the energy currency is flowing outward towards others. Okay, economics. It comes in and it flows through us and it goes back out. So you got to look at that. In other words, is that what you are receiving? Is that what you're offering back in a higher vibration back to others, being of service to others? And if you think of the term of service, our economics, our new economics that we're going to have, when you mentioned earlier, well, if we're getting all this money, what's going to make people work? Well, if you're doing passionate work and you love what you're doing, that's what people are going to be doing now. You're not going to be going to a job that you don't want to do. And I want to touch on this. No. This has been said, I don't know this to be fact, but 2/3 of our economics is going away. And everyone's going to go, oh, God, what are you talking about? You look at our food industry, you look at our medical industry, you look at the pharmaceutical industry, all that bullshit's going away. With the med beds, our food industry, we're going to take our food industry back. We're going to grow our own gardens because we're going to have time to do that, because we're not going to be stressed out over finances anymore. We're not going to have a mother and father working 2 full-time jobs. They're going to be able to raise their own children. So you're going to be able to do all these things. The godly world that God wanted us to live in. Okay, so just know that this is what we're working in. And then if you take the abundance vibration and the currency flow of going in and going out, we're not going to have to rely on banks for permission to get access to these funds, because we're going to have them. And just know, when people are saying, well, I don't like people watching me, God's watching us. He's watching every move we make. Now, we don't have the Federal Reserve. We don't have government doing it. We've got God watching us. So, and then I just want to, there's a lot of things here I'll tell you later, but I found a phrase on the internet last night, and I want to just say this because this one really resonated with me. There is no passion to be found playing small in setting for a life that is less than one you are capable of living. We're all capable of living a better life. This 3D life we're living, this is the first time in centuries we're getting rid of all this bullshit. We're not going to live life small anymore. We're going to live in a life that we're capable of living. Yeah. And I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you, Jim. Really appreciate it. Guys, we're coming up on 2 hours, and I usually don't like to run over 2 hours, especially on a Saturday night, and especially, Jim, as it's must be coming up to close to 4:30 in the morning where you are, so you're going to have to get out and shovel snow fairly shortly.
No, I actually got 2 more shows to do here before 9 o'clock.
Oh, wow. Okay. Flat out. Well, this is something that we've only scratched the surface of tonight. And Jane, I'd like to set this up on a regular basis where, and Jim, if you're available, we can come together and you can educate us on this. I know people are going to have a lot of questions. I haven't been able to keep up with the chat tonight, and thank you again to everybody from QSI, or people who are knowledgeable at least seem to be sharing a lot of information in there tonight. There is a lot of resistance in there too, I'll be honest. There are people who are scared, Jim. You must be seeing it in your country as well. I guess new technology, new ways of doing things can intimidate all sorts of people. My mum, 88 years of age, she's using a iPhone now and a tablet, so who knew that could happen? Anything is possible. That's the way I view it. And we're not talking about something here that's insurmountable. For the most part, my understanding of the actual mechanics is you'll have a card. It will beep, or you will have it on your phone and it will beep, and that's about it. Nothing much is going to change outwardly from what we currently do. Is that right?
That's correct. And I want to be clear here. I want to be perfectly clear. Your straw man money, all the money that's coming back to you, all the abundance that's coming back to you, the wealth of the wicked that's coming back to the righteous, you're going to be just fine. Everyone's going to be just fine financially. Okay. So learn about the new quantum financial system, and everyone's going to learn it at a different level, at a different pace. So don't try and keep up with, the other person. Just do it as you seem fit. I cannot stress this enough. Both Jane and I are not the only people that are willing to help. There's many people that are involved with QSI, and you're seeing them on the chat tonight. I thank all those that are on the chat tonight. We represent the people that are behind the scenes, and we have great people on the QSI team that don't get enough recognition. So I want to take this time to recognize those, because behind Emily, behind Jane, behind myself, and behind Andy now that's out there are many people that are on the chat. Believe me, these people know as much as we do, and they deserve just as much credit. With that being said, as you learn about the QFS system, okay, and you learn about the digital assets, and you go through the QSI program, and you educate yourself, if you are willing to want to be part of the QSI team, reach out to us, because as this grows, we need to grow our team. Okay.
Sure.
Become a humanitarian, become a volunteer. I mean, this is all about bringing all of us together as one. Where we go one, we go all. So
Absolutely. Don't
be fearful for it. Just open your mind. It's new. I get it. Just the fact that we're going to have less government. People don't even realize right now that in the United States that everything they're seeing on TV is green screen. Washington D.C. is locked down. There's no one there, guys. The Federal Reserve building's locked down. The IRS building's locked down. Everything's being done behind the scenes. You have to go look for it. Don't believe me. Don't trust me. Do your own research, and you'll find out for yourself.
Absolutely. Jim, thank you very much. I can't wait to talk to you again. We might pick a couple of other subjects rather than the QFS next time. You are very well versed in all facets of it, so I'm looking forward to.
What I'd like to
those with you.
Let Jan and I let's get together and let's help your audience, and maybe we could start with part 1, part 2, part 3 series, so we can do a shorter call, because I think 2-hour calls are long. I know this was an introduction today, but if we give them bite-sized pieces where people can start, digesting this and chew at their level. But again, 100%. I sound like a broken record. QSI resources, that's the website, and get on Telegram and join the QSI education program. It's really important.
So I've posted the QSI resources in the chat, folks. So I've posted it up 2 or 3 or 4 times back to back, so you should be able to find it if you scroll through. And I would urge you to go for a good look through there and join up to the education that is available there. Jane, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, and what I was also going to say to Carl is QSI Australia, New Zealand, we've gone to 5 calls a week now. Yes, 5 calls. We've got one for New South Wales, which will be tomorrow evening. New Zealand North and Western Australia will be Tuesday. Victoria is Wednesday, and Queensland will be Thursday. And so if you jump on the QSI global announcement channel, you will find the links for the local quorums, unless Carl shares them, because I have shared them with Carl.
Yes, and I can paste all those up.
Join us on those calls if you're already on Telegram. and come and ask questions, because it's not just me. There's lots of knowledgeable people in the local quorums, and then you can speak to locals about how they're doing things. And yes, that is the beginner's course, and I highly recommend that everyone walks through it. The first part of that is the QFS proofs of everything in regards to the QFS, with the executive orders, the USMCA, the white hats being in control of the Fed, and the Fed actually being broke. We also forgot to mention that the RBA is broken. The white hats are in control of them too. So, yeah, there's lots of information in there.
RBA have been broke now for a little while. I'm more concerned about why the mainstream media aren't reporting that at all.
The mainstream media are sprouting propaganda, but you will know Sky are probably giving a few more truths out, but I don't even watch that rubbish because my TV won't pick it up.
Yes, I think you've got to be. I think you've got to have your eyes open. Sorry, I'm just watching different things and trying to post up this all these Telegram channels in the chat, just so that they're all up there. And I think that's the last of them, folks. So screen back through the chat and you'll find them all there. I think that there's, like you say, a fair bit more to come. And we're going to need to have our eyes opened a little wider in so many aspects, but it needn't be frightening, as Jim said. Education is key. And the QSI Resources Centre there is just full of amazing education. So can I just thank you both for the efforts that you've put in, and Emily, of course, and the rest of the team that are in the chat, and everybody else who's watching, because that resource centre has, I imagine, thousands of hours of work gone into it. And it is available free of charge for people. So I can't thank you enough. It is an unbelievable resource for people like me.
So just know this, you guys, the new world we're going into, we're all going to live as kings and queens. Okay. We're all sovereign. We were all born and we were all created by our creator in his image. We were born to live as a king and queen. And I know this is going to be really hard for people to wrap their head around. This is the 3D world that they created for us. Man did this. The evil cabal did this to us. We are ending this once and for all. We are living in the most biblical time here on earth. So really understand this. This is going to be a glorious, when we get through this flip, you guys, it's going to be glorious. But just like anything, if you followed 107, he's been saying it, other people have been saying it, we're going through a birthing right now. We're going through some pain. We're going through some suffering. But when that finally baby comes out, it's going to be glorious. And there's going to be a lot of tears and a lot of hugs and a lot of glory to our Creator.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, both Jim and Jane, for joining us. And Vince, for your questions too. Might invite you back for the next chat too, Vince. I know you've got a big interest in all of this. So thank you very much for taking the time tonight, for joining us, and particularly for you, Jim. 2:30 in the morning is a big effort on a Saturday morning, particularly on a very cold winter's morning in North Minnesota. Can you give people an idea? I don't suppose you'll know Fahrenheit, but give us you'll know Celsius, but give us an idea of the temperature outside at the moment.
Well, I can tell you right now, I've got my thermometer. I'm looking at my screen right now. It's 8 degrees outside. Yeah, Fahrenheit. So
8 Fahrenheit. Wow.
Yeah, so just so people know, people are driving their vehicles on our lakes right now, ice fishing. There's 2 feet of ice. So, yeah.
Wow. I'm sitting here in T-shirts and shorts and sweating rather badly. So welcome to Queensland this time of year.
Well, I've got news for you. This is my last winter. When this flips, I'm going to migrate like a bird. I'm not doing winter anymore.
Yeah, it's no fun. Jane, thank you very much for joining us, and you too, Vince. I'll look forward to catching up again. And we'll try and do this every week if we can. We'll liaise during the week for next week. If we have to do it on a Saturday, we'll do it on a Saturday. So if you're happy to do that, I'm happy to do that.
I think it's important. I really do. Carl, if we stay consistent, if we pick a time and a date, I think if we stay consistent, the one thing I'm learning from teaching people on this is that people are, they like consistency. They don't have to go look. They know that this is the date, this is the time that we're going to do it. So that's just my recommendation.
Roger that.
Agreed,
well,
Jim.
If you're up for this time regularly, then I'm up for this time regularly too. We find it works very well with our Magna Carta 12:15 Learning Centre on a Monday night. So, yeah, we've got a consistent audience there too. So, yep, couldn't agree more. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. I've learned so much tonight, and yet I still feel like I've got so much to learn. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to next week.
Carl, thank you, Vince. Thank you for having us. And Jane, it's always a pleasure to be working with Jane.
Yeah, thanks,
absolutely.
Jim. Really appreciate the support, and thanks, team.
Yeah. No worries at all, Jane. Thank you very much. And Jim and Vince, I'll let you go back. You want to plug Man and My Place real quick?
Hi, Man and My Place is going well at the moment. We
Great.
had our first information session the other day and busily discussing with the area where we're at whether we can get you in for a My Place Manum sit-in when you hit South Australia.
Wonderful.
So
well, I don't care. I'll come down and I'll just come and sit down the park, mate. The public toilet around the side will be fine. We'll be fine. It's all good.
Well, if we had a park, mate, it's currently still underwater, so no.
Okay. All right. Well, we may have to chat.
Interested, that was minus 13 degrees Celsius.
Minus 13. Yeah,
Okay.
Good man, Jim. All right. Great effort on Jim's behalf. Thanks, Vince. Talk to you soon.
No worries. Cheers.
Cheers, mate. And you folks, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I found it really inspirational and really educational. I've learned that being an idiot and forgetting your 12 words and your secret code is not the end of the universe, as I did think that I wasn't able to apply for another wallet. But it seems that I now can. So I've learned that at least tonight, and I'm not intimidated by that. I just now know what I have to do, and that's remember 12 words and a secret key. Now, there's probably a lot more to it, but can't get it all out in one night. So we're going to make this Saturday nights going forward our Quantum Reset night. We'll come up with a better name. It'll be a bit cooler. But I can't thank the folks from QSI enough for allowing me to, gain their help. They are the world leaders in this, folks. There is no one else. They know what they're talking about. You can trust what they're talking about. I've been looking into them for the last week or so, and the education that they provide. And I am a dunce when it comes to numbers. God knows we've talked about it enough. Even I can understand it. It's not difficult. It's just a new way of thinking. And once you assimilate it in your brain, it's easy. And outwardly, as we spoke about, not much is going to change. Card, beep, bang. That's it. Bump your phone against each other. Transaction done. All it's going to mean is that there's no middleman and somebody else taking a clip of your money on the way past. It's not going to happen anymore, folks. It's going to be good. We'll talk more about it. If you've got any questions for next week's show, please email me, carl@vofhq.com, and I'll very happily put them up. Or if you want to put them in the chat here, I'll try and screenshot a few of those and get them up too. I haven't been able to see too many of the comments in tonight, but I will go back and have a bit of a read through. And if there's stuff there that needs to be asked next week, rest assured I will ask it. Be safe on the roads, folks. Remember, there's plenty of dickheads out there. Don't be one of them.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!